The trade deadline is just a month away, and the Mets need some pitching. Tyler McGill is hurt. We have some guys come back from injury. Kodai Senga on the IL. We need some more pitching. We need an ace of this staff. We need some arms, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go through our 10 pitchers the Mets need to trade for, but in a little bit of a different style. We are going to do a snake draft. James has first picked. He's going to tell you who you want. I'm going to go. You understand how it works. We're doing a draft, and you can let us know in the comment section down below whose draft you liked more for the Mets pitching problems and pitching trade deadline needs this season. James, the floor is yours. Get it started. Where are you going with pick 1-1?
I'm doing something crazy. I'm going to say something crazy. This was a meme. This was a bit. Now I think it might be more real than ever. 1-1. I mean, he's still one of the best pitchers in the league. He's definitely going to be the best pitcher possibly available at the trade deadline. I'm taking Jacob deGrom.
This guy. I mean, listen, I had deGrom on my list. I didn't think you were going 1-1 with him.
I mean, you're telling me we're doing a pitching trade deadline draft. Where am I supposed to take him? Not 1-1? Like, he is 1-1. The only thing that is the issue is that the Rangers are playing slightly better baseball. They've climbed back to 500. They're a better team they've played so far. And the American League is horrific. The Red Sox just traded their best player. So there's many playoff spots up for grabs. But I think that the Jacob deGrom rumors, the stuff is just a little more real than it ever has been. I'm really running hard with a rumor I heard on the For All You Kids podcast, Baseball Prospectus, Jared Slider, Jeffrey Paternostro, where they said it was not delusional anymore. They said there was a shred of reality to it. And I'm going to take that, and I'm going to be serious about that, because if there's a shred of reality to a Jacob deGrom trade, whether it be the Mets or anybody, everyone should be jumping on a situation like that. Jacob deGrom has come back this year from the Tommy John surgery, and he's not been... 2019, Jacob deGrom did not walk back through that door, but still an amazing pitcher did. Jacob deGrom's ERA is under 2.2. His whip is well under 1. He's still striking out a batter per inning. The fastball velocity, he's able to control himself and keep it at 97 while still putting that ball in the string and knowing exactly where it's going to go. The slider is still amazing. He's actually reintroduced the changeup back to his repertoire in a legitimate way, especially against left-handed batters. He's still trying to get a handle on that curveball shape. It's not exactly the same as we saw from 2016 deGrom, which was so long ago to even say a comment like that, but he's fucking awesome. And if there's a chance to get Jacob deGrom back on this team, I think there actually is. Like, you take that chance.
Yeah, no, you definitely have to take that chance. Of course, the two big roadblocks are going to be, one, deGrom has to waive the no-trade clause. That's the first and foremost thing that would ever have to happen, along with the Rangers being bad and wanting to sell. Two, the Rangers are going to have to pay some money for sure if the Mets are going to take on Jacob deGrom. His contract actually isn't super horrible if the Mets were to take on a good chunk of it, but at the same time, we know where the Mets are with the luxury tax. We know Steve Cohen and David Stearns don't want to pay older pitchers the rate that Jacob deGrom currently has. They didn't want to pay Corbin Burns that. I'm sure they don't want to pay deGrom. If the Rangers throw in some money, I think it is definitely a little more realistic. And, I mean, just the idea of Jacob deGrom pitching big games for the Mets down the stretch gives me tingles all over. I get giddy thinking about this idea.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd cry. Tears would stream down my face if Jacob deGrom, if I heard Simple Man in the ballpark again. But we're trying to take that part out of it. We're trying to take, like, the delusion, nostalgia out of it, because we're trying to talk about baseball for a second. Right now, Jacob deGrom's contract, he's got 3 years, $115 million left, which is a shit ton of money. That's a lot of money. But both the things you just said, I think, can be worked out with a little bit of leverage, where one, you need Jacob deGrom to waive the no-trade clause. I think he would actually waive it to come back to the Mets in pursuit of a World Series.
We have some inside info.
Yeah, and also some leverage that we know. There's a club option of the last year of his deal for another $20 million in the payroll and $37 million in luxury tax. If you change that to a player option, the no-trade clause is automatically gone. And that's also as a 40-year-old Jacob deGrom. He's also 37. He's still sitting 97, so I'm not really as worried about Jacob deGrom's age. So I think right there is a way to get out of that no-trade clause where I think that he would waive for basically any team, including the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, Stockholm Syndrome. I am a sympathizer with my captor. Jacob deGrom is that guy. I will believe until the trade deadline passes that there is a chance that the Mets get Jacob deGrom. All right, let me rip my two picks here. Snake draft, of course. I'm just going to go for the top guys right now available that look like they are going to be traded. Sandy Alcantara from the Miami Marlins. Would love him. We have control. He's still throwing 98 miles an hour. While the numbers have looked terrible, he's been pitching better of late. And we do know that, one, the Mets defense would definitely help. The Marlins play pretty horrible defense, so I think that would be a big plus to him to get an actual capable infield behind him. And two, being in a winning environment in a system that has fixed a lot worse pitchers. I'd love for Jeremy Hefner to get his hands on Sandy Alcantara and see what he can do, because just there aren't a lot of guys, again, who throw 98 with sink, who can go deep into games. He's a very unique pitcher on the market where we know he's very good, but the numbers have been horrible this year.
Totally. I do think that Major League Baseball is not the same as fantasy baseball, where I don't think that Sandy Alcantara right now is a buy low by any means.
Correct.
I don't think that Sandy Alcantara's value has changed a lot in terms of a trade over the course of this year because he's just simply healthy and pitching and throwing 98 miles an hour. I think that's the biggest thing. But I'm so back in on Sandy Alcantara after these last few starts because he does look pretty back. Last 3 starts, 17 innings, 4 earned runs, 15 strikeouts, 3 walks. 2 of those starts were against the Rockies and the Pirates, objectively 2 of the worst offenses in baseball. The other one was against the Phillies, a very good offense. But the thing with Sandy that we've discussed on this show this season, especially in terms of trading for him, is that it was a command thing rather than a stuff thing. He did not know where the ball was going for his first handful, 12, 15 starts of the season. That seems like it's come back over these last 3 starts. We're having a much higher rate of simply strikes thrown by Sandy Alcantara, a much higher rate of pitches in the strike zone. It's gone from under 50% up until this point this season, until the last 3 starts, now about 60% through those last 3 starts. That's telling me that his body is now agreeing with him more often. He knows where the ball's going more often. That's helping him get more chases, helping him throw more pitches in the shadow and on the edges. He's now more willing to throw a slider in his curveball. Like I'm fully back on him being a good pitcher, not 2021 Sandy Alcantara,
Yes.
but a good pitcher who you can trade for with team control. And that's the kind of thing where, what do you even think you have to give up to get Sandy at this point? Just a 1-for-1 Sproat for Sandy, done deal? DeGrom, maybe even similar with the money?
Yeah, I think it might be different than I bet you the Marlins want prospects. I bet you they don't just want one guy for Sandy. I bet you they're going to want 3 guys that maybe don't have the same
Like 3
quality.
kids?
They might want 3 like younger guys. They might want 3 guys in St. Lucie, Brooklyn area. Like I think that's more where the Marlins are looking because that team is still very far away from competing. And we know one of the biggest things that they've had issues with is identifying talent in the draft and making those guys actually turn into prospects. You look at their last 3-4 drafts, there's a ton of misses. And one of the things that they've done in a lot of trades recently has been trying to get back a lot of volume rather than that top guy. Even with the Jazz Chisholm trade, it was Augustine Ramirez, Jared Cerna, and there was another guy involved in that trade as well.
But Ramirez was the top guy.
Sure.
Ramirez, less than a year after that trade, has a 750 OPS in the major leagues. Looks like, I know he's not playing. He's not really playing catcher. He's a 23-year-old who's hitting the shit out of the ball. I know that you have to stick your feet in because you were so against that trade at the time.
I mean,
Augustine Ramirez is for sure a good major league hitter. I know it's probably not requisite value for Jazz Chisholm, but in terms of the Marlins, they're like, hey, we just put a player in our lineup.
Yeah, they traded for DH.
Very similar OPS to the guy we traded. Lost all defensive value, but you could say that 1-to-1, where I think you could probably say something like that. Yeah, they got Jake Berger back.
Augustine Ramirez is just spicy Jake Berger. I want to let that be known.
Spicy Jake Berger is a great baseball player.
That is it though? Because he has a 285 on base.
It is, 285 base, but as a rookie, first cup of coffee in the league. Augustine Ramirez hits the piss out of the ball. Okay. Spicy Jake Berger, as a rookie with 6 years of team control. Not requisite value, but that's still a good baseball player. I don't know. I think that they're a team that is so not confident in their own player development, especially in the deep lower levels. I think they want more ready-made guys they know they can count on as a slightly finished
I see what you're saying there now.
Similar to Augustine Ramirez.
Well, then could it maybe be like a Blade and maybe someone who's like a little bit...
Blade and someone spicy.
Yeah, Blade and someone exciting. Maybe that's the move. I don't know. But I don't see it as a 1-for-1. I do see them wanting multiple prospects.
Yeah, that part's fine. But one real prospect.
Yeah, for sure. All right, my second guy. Weirdly, a connection to Sandy Alcantara. He was a part of the trade that the Marlins got him. Zach Gallen. Now, talk about a buy low. This guy stinks right now. He looks horrendous. Zach Gallen, this is not a buy low fantasy. This is a buy low real life. Like Zach Gallen, there are very, very, very concerning things happening with him. Not just the performance on the field, which has been putrid. It's been horrible. But the fastball looks terrible. The breaking balls look bad. Everything looks really bad. Here's the saving grace with Zach Gallen. Arizona lost
Brent Strom.
Couldn't remember his name. I was going to call him Seth. Brent Strom. When he had Brent Strom, when he had a pitching mind around him, he was incredible. That's when you were seeing the Cy Young years out of him. What do the Mets have? Some of the best pitching minds in all of Major League Baseball. Jeremy Hefner, Eric Yagers. Now, he is a free agent coming up at the end of the year, so you're going to lose him on the market. But I do think that if there was ever a team to grab a guy like Zach Allen and be able to squeeze out some final juice for him before he hits the free agent market, I do think it's the Mets. He is a good pitcher. We've seen him pitch well at times this year, but the consistency has been horrible. And this is a true buy low. I think his value is pretty shot right now based on where it was when the season started.
I agree with you about him being more so of a buy low because we're seeing multiple years of regression kind of hit at one time where a guy like Zach Allen he's a smaller guy. He has good stuff. It's not great stuff. He has How would you describe Zach Gallen's fastball? I would describe him as like a fragile fastball. Like it's a dainty fastball where if that fastball's in the wrong spot, it gets murdered.
His fastball, the big thing with his fastball is he needs that curveball to be money because that's when his fastball is really working. If he can tunnel it off that curveball, that's when he's great because the curveball is disgusting. When it's on, it's absolutely filthy, but he's not doing that right now.
By now, you know that HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit and that you can choose from 60 recipes every week. But what you might not know is that AJ wants me to describe some of the recent meals that are on the menu. So here we go. Sun-dried tomato grilled cheese sandos. That was easy. Panko-crusted chimichurri barramundi.
Yes.
Let's go.
Nailed it.
Let's
that
go.
Sounds delicious too, by the way.
It does.
And listen, as someone that uses HelloFresh a lot, they come in these little bags with all the ingredients in a bag. You take it out of the bag. It gives you instructions, the recipes in there. You got to do a little cooking so you feel like you did some stuff. Highest quality ingredients, just delicious for meals.
That's right. Make your summer enjoyable and delicious by signing up for HelloFresh at HelloFresh.com/FT10FM and then get 10 free meals with a free item for life. That's HelloFresh.com/FT10FM for 10 free meals and a free item in every box, one per box with active subscription. Free meals are applied as a discount on the first box. New subscribers only, varies by plan.
No, that's what I mean by the fragility of like Zach Gallen's entire kind of arsenal, because he is such a guy that's so focused on tunneling, sequencing, locations. It all needs to work out well for Gallen, which is why that was a good point about him losing Strom and killing that effectiveness, where he's another one, just 1 year of control. Probably won't go that much to get him.
He feels like almost
I give Jeremy Rodriguez back.
I was literally just about to say Marco Vargas, Jeremy Rodriguez range, where it's like
and then one more after that too, probably
someone in the Dominican, maybe. I don't know.
Probably someone, you probably got to give someone AA because it's still a guy that's given innings year after year.
And it also does depend how the Diamondbacks are looking too. Like they look horrible right now, and they are on the outside.
They can easily get hot,
but they could get hot, and then all of a sudden they will not move Zach Gallen.
But getting hot in the National League isn't the same as getting hot in the American League, where there's a much better chance the Rangers hold pat than the Diamondbacks. Zach Gallen gave a quote to the media, I think it was last week or week before, where the team's been playing poorly, and he's like, "We had the players only." And we made the comments like, if we don't start playing better, we know this locker room's not going to be the same a month from now. Like that's something that if the players are recognizing that, it could make you play a little tight. That's another thing, but. Moving on, so you definitely took easily the best next two realistic guys off. So I'm actually going to go crazy because starting this up, we were going to go 5 pitchers, 3 starters, 2 relievers.
You're going to jump a reliever here?
I'm jumping a reliever on the board. I'm taking my favorite reliever I want, friend of the program. I want David Bednar in Queens. I want David Bednar in the orange and blue. Absolutely. That's the guy I want right now. The Pirates have made him available. They've had another lost season where they're just wasting Paul Skeens' prime. This is someone who was one of the best relievers in baseball from 2021 2023, 2.25 ERA over that time, had the most saves in baseball 2023, the 2.0 ERA, 30% strikeout rate, low walk rate. He kind of had everything. And then last year, it all fell apart. He had a back strain, put him on the injured list. ERA went up to about 6. He got taken out of the closer's role, just seemed kind of messed up in the head. As this was all happening, there were some inklings, some reports that were coming out that he was tipping his pitches. None of that was substantiated, but it does seem like when a guy like Bednar, who still has the same stuff and is not far removed at all from dominating, maybe that was true. Then this season shit was bad again. He got sent to the minor leagues in April for 2 weeks, cleared the head, but the fastball's still 97, the curveball's still great, and now since he came back from the minor leagues, dominant again. I think he's 9 for 9 save chances. The strikeout rate's back up near 30%. Like this is a guy who I trust wholeheartedly to be a shutdown reliever the second you would want him and need him to. 35% strikeout rate right now, actually, one of the highest in all of baseball. He's a dog. He's a dude. It would be a real shame to pull him out of Pittsburgh because he's a Pittsburgh dude. But if there's any chance that he would come to this team for a few months, I think there's one more year after this left on the contract. Free agent 2027. Yep. So it's like you can get 2 years of David Bednar. You probably got to give a bit of a pretty penny for him. But this is, in terms of relievers that can be traded this deadline, I think he's the guy.
Yeah, he wasn't even on my list, honestly. Not because I don't think he's good. I didn't think he was really going to be a guy that was an option for us, but I love the idea. And especially because I feel like we might have a couple beers with Dave if he ends up being on the New York Mets, which is a double bonus. Maybe even get him on the podcast. We'll have to make some calls to your friend there. He's going to have to pull in some favors for us. But he is a bulldog. Like I feel the guy is a bulldog. And there's going to be added pressure because it's the Mets and it's the playoffs and it's New York. But there's also going to be a different kind of pressure for him because he's not the main guy in this bullpen like he is in Pittsburgh. Edwin Diaz is the guy. I love the idea of him and Reed Garrett being those setup men back of the bullpen for us, closing out some games when Edwin Diaz needs some help. I feel really good about that one. I like that. Good pick.
Totally. We need to add to this bullpen just as much as we need to add to this rotation right now. That's why we always hate when people talk about pitching depth, because in 1 week, bam, Mets have no pitching depth anymore.
Yes.
So after having the best pitching depth in
Fucking
the league.
Joel Sherman.
Right. And now my last one here. So I'm going to throw one. This is a crazy one. Mackenzie Gore, Washington Nationals. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. I was messing with Mark before. That was my guy to trade for, to try and do a little clickbaity. But I think one that's realistic, one that's attainable, one that's been another favorite of ours for a long time. Zach Eflin on the Orioles. He has not had a good year so far, but again, not a bad year to the point where I think this should be a buy low. I think it's a bad year to the point where I feel like the Orioles are kind of fucking with him a little bit. Zach Eflin's always been a wide repertoire guy because it's never been the best stuff, but it's been good command, it's been tricking guys, it's been fooling guys. But it was always with that cutter, that sinker. Those were his pitches. In the last few years, he got very good towards the end of the tenure with the Phillies, and then with the Rays, it was the curveball as well. This season, for some reason, the Orioles are trying to smush his repertoire together and have him throw pitches that he's kind of taken out over the last few years because they're not as effective, mainly his four-seam fastball and his changeup. Those two pitches have become more prevalent so far in his repertoire this year than it had a couple of seasons. Both of those pitchers are getting absolutely torched to the point where I don't know why he's throwing them. I really think it would be a quick fix, this, that, the other thing. You bring Zach Eflin in, the command is still good, doesn't walk anybody. All the expected stats are good. I know he's been hit very hard right now, but a lot of what's underlying, it doesn't seem like that'll persist. He is not missing as many bats, but I think a function of that is not throwing his best pitches enough to really be a great pitcher. So if I had to get one more pitcher who I think is realistic, this of course isn't exactly a game 1, 2, or even 3 starter in the postseason if we get there, which I hope we do. Zach Eflin's a guy that we saw with the Phillies, with the Rays. He could still be on that staff. He could pitch a game in the playoffs. He could pitch in relief very easily, get those extra few ticks on his fastball that make a big difference. He's someone I think would be a really great addition to this team, and he's pitching on a great contract.
I listen, you turned me into an Eflin guy because I remember go back to 2019. I did a spring training trip. He was on the Phillies. I was chirping the shit out of Zach Eflin throwing one of his bullpens because he was throwing like 88. And then he fixed that injury, and he all of a sudden became a very, very capable pitcher. And you were quick to it. You were always a believer of Zach Eflin, so I'll always give you that. I agree. I think he'd be a nice pitcher to get just because at the absolute worst, he's going to give you innings on this team. And that's something that we desperately need. A lot of our pitchers don't go very deep into games.
Totally. Funny James Shiano lore. Zach Eflin, that was the first piece of content I ever made. I wrote a blog about him fixing his knees. He had some kind of degenerative knee issue, I think in both of his knees, and he couldn't really follow through with the ball. He was like kind of stopping. His back was stiff every time he came through, and he was sitting 88, like you said. Still got basically to the major leagues as a pitcher like that, which is a testament to how good his command is and his mechanics. But once he fixed that, he kind of became a guy. That contract signed a few years ago with the Rays was amazing. From the trade deadline on this season, he'd be due about $7.5 million, which that is going to be something, sadly, that plays into these considerations for the Mets, just because every dollar we spend is being taxed 110% because of repeat luxury tax offenders inside the Cohen tax. So that's something to consider, but he's a guy that can fix a lot of holes very quickly, and he's only on the team through the end of the season.
Okay. Listen, I can get behind Zach Eflin. He's been a very, very good pitcher. My starting pitching's all over the place, so I'm going to go 2 relievers in a row here. I'm going to rip off some relievers, get them off the board, steal some from you. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say Ryan Helsley, number 1 reliever for me.
That's the one.
Cardinals are looking to probably sell. They've cooled off a bit. Like you said, it's going to be tough for most teams to compete in the National League, different than the American League. If the Cardinals were in the American League, they'd be one of the 4 best teams right now in the American League. They'd be running away.
They could win the pennant.
Yeah, they could win the pennant. But because they're in the National League, they have like 7 other teams that are significantly better than them. Ryan Helsley, expiring contract, you kind of just can't hold on to him. Even if the Cardinals are truly competing, it's really hard to hold on to a reliever that is going to walk at the end of the year, and you can cash in on his value. Ryan Helsley throws 100. His numbers are up a little bit this year, but another one of those where it's like the stuff is just so ridiculously good, I kind of don't care what the ERA looks like right now.
Helsley's also had a weird thing happen to him this season, a phenomenon that I learned the first time just listening to Garrett Cole talk, where he picked up a cutter just to try and add something new to the repertoire, try to have a new mix, something in there. As he picked up the cutter, which kind of acted a little bit similar to his fastball, that made his four-seam fastball cut more than it ever had in his career before. As a guy who came very much over the top. Just the grips, the way his arm was moving, it made a change. That overcutting of his fastball has hurt his command of that pitch, and that's kind of caused him to get into more trouble and give up a lot more hard contact this season. He has stopped throwing that cutter now for about 2 months. He's getting that fastball shape back. It's still been a little wonky since then, but I do fully believe in a guy like Ryan Helsley to get that command under control. And again, get into an organization, even for a brief amount of time like the Mets, where you can do a lot quickly as opposed to a team like the Cardinals, who up until even maybe still to this right now, are kind of we're living in the prehistoric era of pitching development. So I do like Halsey again. Not exactly as a buy low in real life, but someone that I think we can turn them into something better than how they performed so far this season because of what we have infrastructure wise.
It might be that time. If you're looking for a new car, there's one place to go that is going to take care of you, and it's Car Gurus.
Yeah. Looking for a car should be fun, not exhausting. Everywhere else, it's exhausting. You're dodging people. You're trying to just, can I look at this car? Car Gurus, you type in your search, you find the color that you want, it narrows it down for you, and all of a sudden you're like, this has been an exciting experience, and you got a great deal.
With over 4 million listings, Car Gurus has more car listings than any other major online automotive marketplace in the US, so you can find the best deal. It's no wonder SimilarWeb estimated traffic data shows Car Gurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. Buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's cargurus.com. Cargurus.com.
And then for my second reliever I'm going to take, I am torn between two left-handed guys. One of them is on a team that I know we can get him off. The other one is on a team that I'm not sure really what they're doing. They just traded one of their best players in Rafael Devers.
I think I have both of these guys on the list. So whoever you don't take, rest assured I'm taking the other one.
Man, who do I want to let you talk more about? Do I want to be
I'm
on
going
the
to talk
record?
about either of them, so it don't matter.
Do I want to be on the record of taking Aroldis Chapman or Caleb Ferguson? Those are the two names, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of them. I have
I'm
another guy on this list.
I'm going to let you have Ferguson if you want him. I'll take Aroldis Chapman. I know Ferguson's an Ohio State guy, I think, as well. So I'll let you take him if you want him. Aroldis Chapman simply still got it. I mean, he's throwing 101 miles an hour again. The Red Sox are in the weirdest position ever where they're actually playing better, but they trade Rafael Devers. They just beat the Mariners. They're in the playoffs technically as of right now. So Aroldis Chapman, for all intents and purposes, might not be available. He is rocking a 1.5 ERA and a .833 whip this year, 42 strikeouts in 30 innings. He's been one of the more dominant relievers in Major League Baseball. Garbage person, but boy, oh boy, can he throw a wicked fastball, and that would really help out the Mets with the left-handed reliever because we know that's a major, major weak point right now in this bullpen.
Yeah, but it would be funny adding him to this bullpen where he wouldn't even be the closer because he's never really performed well in that situation either.
True.
But again, garbage person. I don't even think the front office in this organization would bring him in. I think that's a no-fly zone for this team.
Might be.
But at the same time, right now, Aroldis Chapman somehow, shockingly, has the lowest walk rate of his entire career.
Yeah, it's
his whole career. His career that started in 2010 with the Cincinnati Reds as a starting pitcher. Right now, Aroldis Chapman, 37 years old, still throwing 100 miles an hour, lowest walk rate. And his fastball is a tick harder than it was last season. Last year, was averaging 98. This year, averaging 99. So something happened to Aroldis Chapman this offseason where he hit kind of a new gear again somehow, and he looks like one of the 10 or 15 best relief pitchers in all of baseball. Ferguson's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because he has stopped striking players out. And if you're a guy like Caleb Ferguson, you stop striking people out, but the velocity's still there. The stuff all looks pretty stable. I don't really know why that is. And it's a big enough sample size where, again, I do not know why that is. But as a left-handed pitcher, the fastball is interesting. The sinker's good. He has a cutter as well. That's the classic fastball triangle that Mets love. Mets love it so much. And he throws a curveball, which is amazing because the curveball is a much more platoon-neutral split than a left-handed pitcher whose big off-speed pitch would be a slider. It is classified as a slurve, oddly enough, on Baseball Savant, but also as a curveball on Sports Info Solutions through Fangraphs. So I don't know, but he's someone that is he's been such a great pitcher at contact suppression for a very long time. Weirdly, also in the Pirates bullpen with David Bednar, also weirdly buddies with my friend Ross, like David Bednar's his cousin, which is crazy if we could put a couple of Ross's friends in this bullpen. I thought you were going to go Seth Halverson for sure with your bullpen guy.
I just don't think the Rockies are trading him.
That's fair. I think I want to throw a couple other relievers before you take your last starter pick. I think we'll be on the move.
Well, who are your picks?
I took Caleb Ferguson my last one.
Oh, you took Caleb Ferguson. Okay, got it.
I think it's my last pick, right? I only need one more.
No, you got one more starter now, I believe.
No, I took Eflin. Oh, I do have one more starter because I only took DeGrom. Okay.
Yeah.
Should I just go all the way in for Mets turnaround reclamation projects here?
That's up to you.
Like there was a report that came out last week that the Royals might be looking to sell.
No.
I'll leave him here for you then because I don't think that was realistic. So I'm actually I'll stick with the Texas Rangers.
That was gonna be Seth Lugo?
That was gonna be Seth Lugo.
Okay. Yeah, he was like number 3 on my list, and I was like, can I save him? Is this gonna be a sneaky one?
So here, I'll go sneaky back shot there. Pause.
Easy.
Tyler Mahle.
Whoa.
Tyler Motley on the Rangers, someone who else I believe is on an expiring contract, who has rebounded incredibly well this season after a couple of years of troubles, arm surgery, this, that, the other thing. The fastball velocity is not back, still sitting 92, but the shape is all the way back. A little bit of arm side movement there, tons of ride on that pitch. It's awesome. The splitter looks very good again, lefties and righties. The cutter's good. The slider's decent enough to mix in there. Injured on the injured list right now. I do think that he's someone that the Rangers, if the Rangers are trading pieces, he will be one of the first guys to go. And I think he's someone that, similar to Eflin, he's not pitching game 1. He's not pitching game 2. He might pitch game 3. But if he pitches game 4, you probably feel okay about it. I think he's someone that, if he does prove he can be healthy, which will be a big if for him right now, that's something that I think the Mets should, and a lot of other contending teams will strongly consider.
Yeah, mine's going to be Seth Lugo. The Royals are sneaky horrendous.
Terrible.
Like,
Roster's
sneaky.
bad.
They have 3 major league hitters, I think, right now on their roster, which is kind
Are
of
you
insane.
counting Caglianone?
Not yet. Not yet.
Donnie,
He hasn't showed it yet at the major league level just yet. He's 4A right now until he actually starts to produce some numbers. I know the exit velos are crazy. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player. But as of right now, he's not making any sort of impact positively for this Royals team. It's Bobby Witt, it's Michael Garcia, and it's kind of Vinny Pasquantino / Salvador Perez, where it's like,
Yeah.
those guys are the only people that even hit at all on this roster. The rest of it is so weak. And their pitching is still very good, but doesn't matter when you don't score runs. So Seth Lugo's my pick. Crazy. Chris Bubich is also a free agent in 2 seasons.
Yes.
I don't think they would trade him because that seems like a guy who's young. Go give him some money. The Royals have been spending money, so I don't think this is like a money issue per se, where Lugo makes more sense, where he's 35. He has a player option next season, I believe, or in 2 years, whatever the contract is. It's money that they could get rid of on a pitcher who's 35, 36 years old. And I know that his tenure with the Mets ended weirdly, and there was always that weird back and forth where he always wanted to be a starter. The Mets never wanted him to be one. And then he went to San Diego, instantly was a great starter, and it was like, see, I fucking told you. So I don't know what that would be like, but also at the same time, playoff baseball, Seth Lugo, now you're a starter. You got to get over it. Now you're a starter for the New York Mets. I'd love to bring him back. He's been awesome the last few years.
I feel bad that we're really feeding into this nostalgia delusion
I know.
horde of the Mets fans, but these are the guys available, which is kind of ironic and strange. And Lugo also is just such an artisan at this point in his career. It's so ironic that we were always like, Seth, you got to just stop throwing all these pitches, fastballs and curveballs out of the pen, do what you got to do. And now, just to stick it to us personally, throws 13 different pitches every single start, a mix of every single thing under the sun. But it's good. Again, it's not great, but he's not game 1 starter. He could be a game 2 starter, but he's definitely a game 3 starter, which is kind of where the Mets are shopping unless Jacob deGrom is actually realistically available, which is not a terrible place to be, because while we do have tons of prospects to trade right now, we'd be well served to probably consolidate some of these assets as this 40-man roster crunch gets tight over the next few years, as you guys heard us talk about Matt Eddy last week. We're ready to go. We're ready to make a move. You got to cash in a little bit because team is good, and this is a great time to start pushing some chips in.
Definitely. I mean, and we have the glut of prospects that I think are attractive to other teams, where I feel comfortable enough moving them. And I also think teams are comfortable enough where, like, we can turn these guys are good ball players. Like, we don't necessarily have those number 1 guys. We don't have those top 10 prospects in baseball. We don't have those blue chippers, as we mentioned. But there's a lot of really good, valuable players that will be Major League Baseball players on rosters for free for a very long time. The Mets have a lot of those guys right now.
Yeah, Mets fans love to go back to the 2022 trade deadline about how much of a disaster that was. And looking back, it definitely was a moment where that season changed. We lost a lot of momentum. But we didn't have anyone to fucking trade. No. That farm system was so bad. There wasn't even one attractive prospect in the whole thing.
It would have been Francisco Alvarez. It would have been Brett Beatty. Those were the guys.
And you tell a Mets fan that now, you're like, that's why you trade all the prospects. But that's also, we needed some players to also come up and actually play Major League games.
Yeah, otherwise we'd have Donovan Walton, and who else would be playing? Who would be playing catcher right now for the Mets? We'd have Hayden Sanger every single day with Luis Torrens. Like, that'd be a problem.
We still have Tomas Nido, but we're in the spot to do that. And also just throw some more names out there that we had, at least I had on my list.
Okay,
Mike Soroka, he'd be definitely more of a swing man. I think he would be a back-end guy. You see what you can do. That fastball is 95. The shape is tolerable. The slurve is slurving. He's flashing, someone that could be okay. I also had Tomoyuki Sugano, our guy in the list.
Yeah.
And then of course, Seth Lugo, and then Chris Bubich I thought were interesting, but I think we need another week or so before we get there. And I got some
fun ones too. Let me throw out some fun starters as well. I don't know why I got this thing with Austin Gomber, who's terrible, but I feel like out of Coors, he might have a little something. Every time he pitches on the road,
briefly,
I feel like he pitches kind of well. Like, he just made his debut for the season. 5 scoreless innings, looked pretty good. He's someone that had on here. Merrill Kelly, I think, is going to be very available.
I love Merrill
A
Kelly.
favorite of James. I think regardless of whether
that's a
they're
pitcher.
super competitive or not, Merrill Kelly might be available. Aaron Savali just got traded to the White Sox. He's not interesting at all, but he's someone who I think will be available. If the Red Sox fall off, Lucas Giolito will be available. And then just to throw some craziness out there, Luis Severino's probably available if the Mets come calling. I mean, the A's are so horrible right now. I bet you they'd love to get rid of Luis Severino's contract.
I was honestly going to text you as a bit before the start. I was like, do you just want to do only former Mets back and forth and like see if anyone notices? Because also I think Michael Wacha is another guy who's been awesome. One of the lowest ERAs in baseball over the last 3 seasons, which is kind of incomprehensible to think about.
Ever since he came to the Mets, he's been fantastic.
Yeah. And this Royals team, especially with Cole Reagan's out with a very vague shoulder strain, which we don't want to hear about pitchers who have 2 Tommy John surgeries having vague shoulder strains. Like things can get ugly there quickly, so there could be a sell-off. Now we are getting to that point in the season where we're starting to see more likelihood of more teams selling. And just throw a couple chaos relievers out there. Mentioned Halverson, Anthony Dominguez. Doesn't know where the ball's going.
On my list.
Still coming 98 miles an hour. The Orioles are going to sell everything that's not bolted down. 2 Marlins. Calvin Fauché, who you know is a favorite of mine, has been ugly season this year, but most of the ugliness has come against the Mets, specifically against Pete Alonso. If he didn't face Pete Alonso, his ERA would be about a run and a half lower, so I think he's interesting. Strange east-west profile from reliever. And have you seen their new closer, who's becoming a bit of a demon?
What's his name?
Ronnie Henriquez.
Okay. So I didn't know he was their new closer. I've seen him pitch
Closer-ish.
this year. He's got some stuff, but he also gets shelled. So I don't know what's going on there.
And he also just came up. He has 6 years of control, but I also believe no options left.
And I think he's also 30. He's like
No, he's only 25.
Oh, he's a young one? Okay, then I'm mixing him up with somebody else. But
he's young, but no options. Kind of the anti-Huascar Brazabon. But he has a fastball that gets up to 96, 97, a real changeup, a real slider, a real sweeper. Like there's all the pieces here for someone. He's also a tiny guy. He's like 5'11", like 170. Yeah, he's listed at 155, which is basically my weight in baseball reference, which is extra funny. And last one, another weird one, favorite of yours, Nick Mears on the Brewers.
Yeah.
The Brewers are always selling and buying at the same time. They have a weird team and a weird roster in a weird season right now, as they always seem to do. I know they'll be there until the end, as they always are, but Mears is about to get his arbitration big raise. He's about to go off the minimum to arbitration, and he's no minor league options left. That's the exact type of player an organization like the Brewers love to trade.
Yeah, Nick Mears coming over from the Rockies to the Brewers last year. The numbers were not great, but the stuff looked fantastic. Another Rockies guy to keep an eye out for, Jake Bird. He's been a favorite of everybody's. I think he's going to actually be an expensive buy because he's got a low ERA. He might be their lone all-star representative this year. There's going to be some hype around him. I also threw out a couple of different names here. Dennis Santana. What?
What about boy Victor Vodnik on the Rockies too?
Yeah, I mean, I think all the Rockies, they should be looking to trade any pitcher at any time they ever get an offer because who the fuck can pitch well there? Dennis Santana, another former Met, has been absolute nails for the Pirates. He was also good with the Mets, but I think he's another guy who has 0 options, so he's a tough one to roster because if it does go south, you just can't hold on to him. And then I also threw in Shelby Miller, who's looked decent at times with the Diamondbacks, and then a random one to keep an eye out for, Cam Boozer of the Chicago White Sox.
Oh yeah,
ton of control.
Pitch.
Yeah, he can pitch. And similarly, the White Sox cannot hold on to a left-handed relief arm if they're serious of actually rebuilding. He's, I think, 31 or 32. If you give him an offer, I'm sure Cam Boozer could be a Met in a heartbeat.
Yeah, Boozer probably is the best reliever in that bullpen too. They also have Brandon Eisert, who also has stuff, is kind of working as their somewhat de facto closer. Oddly, the White Sox have some interesting guys in that bullpen. Steven Wilson also kind of throws gas. Jordan Leisure throws super gas. He's so young, I don't think they'll do it. We know, especially after the first trade deadline with David Stearns last season, that we are going to get creative.
Yes.
And I'm excited to see what they have in store because there's going to be a lot of options out there. Probably many that we're not even paying attention to right now, but there's going to be a lot of things happening for this Mets team as they desperately look for pitching over the next few weeks.
You guys can let us know down in the comment section below whose draft you like better, who the Mets should be looking at, somebody that we didn't even consider or talk about. Would love to hear what you have to say. Drop a like on the video if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel as well. And if you are listening to us, want to listen to us after every series, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Schiano.
And I'm Draft Neck Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We will catch you all after another episode. I don't know when this one's coming out. After the Brave series. Peace out.
Peace out, guys. Go Mets.